thank you very much, Daniel, for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me at Smell Like a Data Cleaning Room Spirit from Data Cleaning Room Alliance. Before we start the interview, could you tell a little bit, please, about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Daniel Bates. I lead our specialist team at Adobe for our collaboration product. I started in this industry dating myself in the late 90s when we used to count log files on Unix boxes. So pre-cookies.
My God.
And I've had the pleasure of working both on the buy side from an ad tech perspective and the sell side, 24/7 Real Media before WPP. I worked with Atlas before Microsoft, eBay. I've been in the attribution space, so I've been lucky to have a wide variety of data-related companies that I've worked with over the years.
Yes, indeed. You have seen the birth of all this. So because you have this huge experience, ambition over time, could you please tell us how data sharing has been evolved from times from ad servers, DMPs, until the actual moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because if you look back, the use cases are very similar when you go back to the days, 15, 20 years ago. We were having a lot of the very same conversations. I think, the thing that we've gained in the past 20 something years is just the technology agility. So, we had folks literally shipping disks of log files in the early 2000s. And now we don't have to move data at all. So this is something that we've been looking for since the beginning. We just didn't have the technology footprint to pay that off. And so that's what's excited me and kept me in this game, is seeing, the promise of this just evolve from a technology perspective.
Super interesting. So before digging into more aspects about Adobe and their CDP and their data sharing functionality, because we don't know who is going to be our listener of this podcast, could you please explain easily what is a CDP, what is a data cleaning room, and how they fit each other?
Yeah, I mean, simply, I look at the CDP as the foundation from a first-party perspective, and to be able to have a panoramic, agnostic to channel profile of record, if you will, right? So that's the CDP is the center of all channels, panoramic. The data clean room would be the bridge. So if I, as company A, wanted to share that data with company B, I need a bridge to do that from a privacy safe perspective. So that's my simple explanation of the difference between the CDP and the DCR. Or collaboration in general, right? It just allows us to, in a privacy safe way, share this data in ways that we weren't able to do in the past, which unlock a ton of different use cases.
Super clear. So now moving more about data sharing. How do you feel data sharing is evolving with the way brands, publishers, or even retailers, they are collaborating?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing excitement from our clients and in the industry, just in what I mentioned in the beginning, right? We didn't have this technology agility or the systems to pay off these use cases. And so I see a lot of excitement and a lot of experimentation that I haven't seen at all, just because of the capabilities that we have available.
I see. So one of the challenge with data sharing, obviously there is the legal challenge, but also from the point of view of the technological information, how do you handle the need of targeting and measurement with the privacy? How does Adobe resolve that? How do you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that subject is a really fun one, because I would argue it's more about the people in the process than it is the technology. So I think that there's, given that we've been buying media and we've been hamstrung from a measurement perspective since the beginning, folks are set in their ways. So I think half of our battle with the collaboration space is just to educate folks from a legal perspective, from a use case perspective, from a I'm not moving data anymore perspective. So I think that often gets overshadowed.
Yeah.
Is the people in the process piece.
Interesting. So, how do you feel or see that sensitive data or first party data is being handled by sectors with more regulated, like maybe banking or pharma?
Yeah.
How they're doing the data sharing, how they are managing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think these are the verticals that have been waiting for this, right? And those we're seeing, I think the most adoption and the most experimentation in those verticals. Just knowing that we've built something from the ground up after seeing what the first wave of data clean rooms did from a technology perspective. We were able to, learn from that and build something that was privacy safe from the ground up. And this is table stakes for those verticals.
Interesting. So now that you have this functionality on Adobe CDP about data sharing, what learnings are you receiving from customers? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the excitement that we're hearing, and we've heard this from a big customer of ours recently, from it was a CPG measurement use case, and they told us they've been trying to do this for 10 years, right? So, as I said earlier, I think there are a lot of use case unlocks that our clients are able to bring to the table that they weren't able to even entertain. And I think that's going to help us, not if you, and this goes back to the DMP, right? Our number one use case from a DMP perspective was the media waste use case, right?
Yes.
If I can suppress all of my employees at a large Fortune 10 company at scale, that could pay for my ad tech, right? And I think those same use cases are going to be in play here, but just with more data and IDs, which is exciting.
Yeah, I agree with you. So when we're talking about data sharing, it all seems to be between three partners: brands, publishers, and retail. However, they may be between an external stakeholder that play an important role. What is the role that has a media agency or consultancy in improving or pushing data sharing functionalities?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, right? Because you have new sectors that are opening up because of this new audiences that we're creating. So I think, even from an agency perspective, like there are new muscles that are being formed. And, I'm seeing it across a bunch of the holding companies where, they have specific divisions that are helping customers from an RMN strategy perspective or commerce media, which is a pretty new muscle for an agency, both from a selling and a data foundation perspective. So I'm excited. I think at a macro level, we're not we're not in an or equation. Like I have to use this, holding company technology or Adobe CDP. The equation is I use both of them to build more powerful audiences. So I think there's collaboration, the product, and there's collaboration of all of us, right? Which I think is something that this product unlocks.
Cool. Going to a more difficult question.
Yep.
And this is going to the legal ground. So Europe has GDPR, which is transversal to all European countries, whereas United States, at least as far as I know, they don't have like homogeneous legislation. It varies between states.
Yeah.
So how this affect when you are designing these solutions? How this fragmented legislation and different legislation affect?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to limit my answer given that, I'm not here to give legal advice. So that's my disclaimer on that one. But I think the important thing that we've seen from a product perspective is we've been able to future-proof with states that have very strict privacy governance, like California with CCPA, which is arguably like as strict as some of the EU policies. So I think that has been that reality has been something, in FSI and in healthcare that, has checked the box on that privacy requirement for them. But yeah, I mean, it's tough because the United States has much larger scale to unify that from a universal privacy perspective, not even getting into politics.
I see. So, as you know, talking about fragmentation, right now the digital ecosystem is more fragmented than ever with the emergency of generative AI, which has fragmented more the customer journey.
Yeah.
How data sharing and Adobe is helping to try to connect the dots?
Yeah, no, I think, allowing for folks to just really focus on the use case and high value data versus, we saw in the first wave, fragmentation created these sub markets that were arbitrage, whether it was from a media perspective or data perspective. And there was just a lot of noise in the industry. I think that's going to be paramount here is for, folks to focus on their KPIs and the use cases that fulfill those, and to be able to use these recipes from a collaboration perspective, multi parties, using their first party data to kind of short circuit that waste. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, you're an advertiser, so I should be asking you that question.
Whoa. So I think measurement has been always complex.
Yeah.
But has become more complex, but not only in a technical perspective. It's to explain to peers from marketing to make them understand that even though Google has said that cookieless is not going to happen, we still have that problem with cookies. And you need more data points. You need ways to try to connect the dots that are not the usual ones. And the information you might see in your advertisement platforms might not be enough to see if your marketing activity is effective.
Yeah.
So complex to explain that to internal stakeholders to understand, because they always want to look KPIs they can understand, like how much is your acquisition cost on Meta, or things they can understand, and they don't understand why differ from one platform to other.
Yeah.
So it has become more tricky. And here in Spain, for example, I think it's Perplexity with the AI that now lets target users on their site.
Yeah.
I think that's only available in United States. That's a new frontier of advertising, of media.
Yeah.
So it's going to be super complex to explain that and to see how can we connect the dots. So indeed, if we can reconcile data with data from other partners, that would be awesome to try to connect those dots.
Well, and I think two things that I hear there, and I agree with you completely, is, like cookies or not, like we've matured as an industry, which is exciting, right? And I think, as things get more complicated, having that agility to experiment and use more data and use more IDs and not be, in a black box is going to be the key to success.
Yes, it is. So going right now to the end of our interview, which MarTech trend are you following? It's exciting for you.
Yeah, I mean, the one that's exciting for me that follows the same theme that we've been talking about is when you see how commerce media and open web are starting to work together, right? So people are getting really creative, given that they don't have these constraints from a technology perspective to be successful in their channel. And this brings me back to my network days at 24/7 Real Media. We that was blind network, right? We didn't have first party data and a lot of this. It was contextual and behavioral. But that same spirit is starting to emerge here more powerfully, which is exciting. And that dovetails with the we've matured answer.
Sweet. So ending now, what would you like for our audience to take away from this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I think, data collaboration is not optional anymore, and we're seeing that in our conversations. Like we've had great meetings while we've been, here in Spain, and everybody's been waiting for this for a long time. So I think, just start testing, right? I think what happened in the CDP era is folks got overwhelmed with the enormity of a lot of these platforms, and they were hesitant to test. And that's the only way that we're going to see this in action is to start testing those use cases. So I would love to see people leaning in and experiment more.
So Daniel, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.